I couldn't be anywhere but London. My life is London. My vibe is London. So I'm Barney. I turned 50 this year. I was a software engineer or engineering manager. Now I'm a security officer. I do lots of jobs now to try and keep afloat. But this is my main one, is in security. I'm in two great relationships. I'm poly with two poly women, both who are Ukrainian, which I didn't see coming. That wasn't a plan, but Slava Ukraine, Slava Ukraini, I should say. I'm still learning.
So how did you end up working in security?
So I whistled blew to the ICO on an employer who then fired me for poor performance, which I guess technically, if you expect me to lie about breaching GDPR, is poor performance from one perspective. So I found it hard to get back into the industry. DWP eventually said, hey, we'll retrain you to be a door supervisor. So, okay, free training, I need an income. So started doing that, and to be honest, I seem to be doing okay at it. It's kind of good fun. Sometimes it can be peaks and troughs. It depends what you do. Some days it can be mind-numbing, and other days you're on it all the time, especially when you're doing bars and clubs. The coolest stuff is probably going to be premieres. Cillian Murphy's a very polite man. Doesn't have to be, and yet is. Then you have events like here at the Excel Centre. These can be manic. You know, there's this calm today on this side. Behind these walls, there's about 500 contractors feverishly building a new conference. The worst ones are probably retail, where you're just standing, nodding and saying good morning and being asked where the toilets are. That happens. And then there's bars and clubs, and that's always interesting. You know, even on the quiet days, you've got house music pumping, you've got a good rapport and banter with the bar staff, but you can also end up sort of having to escort people out who've had too much to drink. It's a lot of grey in security, but software, there's no grey, it's black and white, it's code. So sometimes I can be a bit too pedantic, and then I need a supervisor to go, just let it go. So that's been an interesting switch for me. You get to see some highs and lows. What I've learned is that there is no barrier to being an arse based on background, income, ethnicity. The same can be said about being a nice person. While there is obviously a certain amount of profiling, you can see like, that person doesn't fit here, something's odd, you know, that's the security mindset. But you can't just go, that person is going to be an idiot, that person's going to be nice. You can't check it out just from how somebody looks or appears. Last night, I kicked out a guy. I have a duty of care. You need to get home. If you keep drinking, bad things will happen. So that was feeling very active. Sometimes you're just an observer. You're not a hero. At best, you're a bar sheriff, right? So sometimes you need to step back and let things play out and then only intervene as necessary. So sometimes you have to be patient. Protests, that's one where you have to be patient. I was at a conference, there's suddenly 500 protesters, all with a really good point to make. And there's drums, and there's music, and there's singing, and there's chanting, and there's pushing. And you have to keep a cool head. It's probably the worst ones. You shouldn't be like, right, okay, these protesters, let's throw them in a tent, especially if you agree with them. But you also took the job. No one forced you to. You could always call in sick. You could always say, I'm not doing that shift. So if you take it, you just have to accept that you're going to be in an area of maybe moral ambiguity. This person over here is a human being and has a right to protest. The person behind me has a right not to get an egg in the face. There's a whole art to behavioural detection, which also you have to calibrate at different places. Women glancing around, looking for, you know, aha, she's looking for somebody to help her, but she can't say anything. And that person's drinking a bit too fast. Thieves, bag thieves, blaggers. Recently, could tell there was a dance floor, just this couple dancing, and then suddenly they both put their backs to me. I knew something was up. In the middle of the dance floor, he's doing poppers. The girl sees me over his shoulder, her eyes go wide. He turns around, I smile at him. I just put my hand out. And he just knew, grabbed his coat and walked. Not even a word said. Last night, you know, the guy was going, well, look, I can walk down the stairs. Sir, that didn't go as smoothly as you thought.
After doing this for a while, what have you noticed about people? What have you learned about people?
We're a lot of different shades. The sweetest person can be a nasty drunk. People can be obnoxious on the outside but sweet underneath. We're playing a lot of facades. I have my jovial self and I have my work face when I need to. We're all playing a game to the wider London.
Has working as security changed the way you see London?
I mean, for a start, I'm in a very different salary band or income band to what I was before. I'm now in the gig economy, whereas before I was salaried 9 till 5, Monday to Friday. I used to do archery an awful lot. Monday, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Can't do that now. Some of the shifts will interfere. If you work hard, you get a good rep and you start getting more and more gigs because you're reliable. No one pays bonuses to security, but what they will offer you is more shifts. Well, the nighttime economy is quite fascinating in itself, you know. That drink after a shift when everybody's gone home and they all pop a Peroni at 4 a.m. in the morning. You're chilling out in maybe the most exclusive club in London. It's not quite the same fee to join.
How do you have time for the gig economy and 2 partners?
They are moaning when I get 18 days in a row of work and they just go, it's insane the hours you do. But then I'll have a week and a half off and then it's like, hey, we're going to go do something fun. So the gig economy does allow me to go, I'm not going to work that Wednesday. Somebody on 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, that's ticking a box saying, I am going to use up some of my...
That's annual leave, yeah.
That's annual leave used up. Whereas for me, it's like, no, I'm going to work the weekend anyway. I'll have that Wednesday when I won't accept any work.
What does it take to survive in London?
It takes more than one agency, for sure. I think on the security side, I'm with 5, but you also then need to be really on top of your calendar. No one's calendars all agree. Today, I am on fumes because I worked yesterday daytime, did 10 hours. Then I did handyman because I had to finish off a job for an old lady that I'd started on Monday. Then I did a club, which I talked about 10 till about 4. Got home at 5. This shift started at 7. So I needed to just eat. There was no time to sleep. And this shift is till 10 p.m. Tonight I'm going to sleep well. And then after that, nothing's in the calendar. It just seems to fall that way. My job, you can't do remote. There's no working from home. You've got to be face-to-face, and you've got to be good at face-to-face. Maybe if I'd stayed in software, that skill would have atrophied away to just, I work in Zoom or Teams, or I message people on Slack, and I forget how important face-to-face is. And this job is all face-to-face. Maybe something in being a security officer makes you a good conversationalist, because you have to be.
What makes a Londoner?
That's an interesting one because I think it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If you ask somebody who's from the north, they'd say that we're cold, right? But I'm dating 2 Slavic women who say that Londoners talk too much. Having traveled, I think we're really good on diversity. We're not in some utopia by any means. But when you travel around and you start hearing some quite old school views of the world and whatnot, and then you come back to London and you're like, at least we've moved past that kind of view of the world, you know? I live in Stratford, just on the cusp of Maryland and Stratford. On my street, I can hear Ukrainian. I'm learning Turkish from my family-run convenience store. You know, if you embrace London's diversity, you're going to have a field day. If you get terrified by it, you're going to find this like overwhelming because you'll have 100 different cultures in a day.
What's something about living in London that people don't always see or don't talk about?
How much it's gentrifying and how that's looks cool but is hurting. Things are becoming very generic. I've lived in East London now since, 2013. A lot of the places I'm at, you wouldn't really know that they're East London. They could be West London or anywhere else because they're all vape shops and Starbucks and artisan coffees and so forth. Where is East London gone? You know, where is that feel? So I don't know if people are talking about it. I think they might be talking about the side effects, like, oh, the rents are going up or whatever. But rather than this area that was kind of unique is no longer unique.
Why do you stay? What keeps you in London?
I have a life here. I have my friends here. I have a vibe here. I've got two amazing partners. I couldn't be anywhere but London. My life is London. My vibe is London.
What is your message to your fellow Londoners?
Keep being awesome. Don't get so drunk that you need to be carried out. There's a merry point. Remember that bar staff, whether they're security or the people behind the bar, are humans too, and probably looking out for you as much as, you know, because you're their customer. I think that's probably a specific message I can give from this perspective. But otherwise, I'd say, yeah, keep being awesome, because you are.
Thank you, Barney.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.